All right, y'all. I'm not really sure exactly what happened there. All of a sudden, I just got a message on my computer, but we'll go ahead and finish this up. Um, Let me share those slides again. So we were talking about, please, the hamburger, and people were suggesting. I'm just gonna kind of flip forward. So we don't have to, we can just be very direct rather than giving a reason. We're having hamburger for dinner. With regards to, please go to the drugstore for our prescriptions, cough syrup and throat drops, and then get bananas and ice cream at the grocery. Obviously, and these are examples are a little bit over the top, but please get what's on the list at the drugstore. And lastly, this is my favorite, take the medicine 8 times a day for the next 10 days. And my answer to that is ask the care provider for a simpler regimen. Ask them if they're out of their mind, actually. If there's not, then provide those pills one at a time. Briefly, some staging. We here at Emory use the staging system of mild cognitive impairment, early dementia, early middle, and late. When somebody has mild cognitive impairment, they may be more susceptible to financial scams, but what's really important is that they're able and independent. There are isolated problems here and there, and there's often some issues with short-term memory, but in large measure, folks can continue to work, can continue to participate, and may benefit from having somebody else around, a care partner around, but in large measure don't need, quote, looking after. What we do see with mild cognitive impairment is some frustration because the person is noticing that they're not thinking in the ways that they used to. With early stage or mild dementia, the change is not a bright white line or a bright red line. Folks continue to be relatively able and independent, but there may be some more difficulty with complicated tasks and with executive function. Concrete tasks are usually very, very doable. And we don't see a lot of change in the quality of the performance, but we might see some. And especially as a very close family member, you may notice a change in the quality that other friends or colleagues don't notice, or healthcare providers. With early middle stage, we find that folks are absolutely able to do simple and familiar tasks. There is a change usually in the performance quality of doing the tasks. There may be some increased sloppiness. Language may be a little more challenging for folks, but language still works for giving directions, although writing it down can also be very, very useful. And we do see at this stage, we begin to see often some emotional reactivity with frustration. It's harder for folks to manage that. Late middle stage, again, there are no bright white lines, but I think it's we start to see that folks are able to do maybe just have a two-step process that's written down, and that's what they're able to do. But complicated processes are very, very difficult. And folks are very easily distracted. And finally, at late stage, folks are have fewer strengths, but they're still there. The pearl is still there. But complete direction and lots of hands-on assistance is generally necessary. So just in finishing, some helpful tips for people living with MCI and dementia. Laugh easy and often. The better, the more humor that we can use, the less frustrated we're gonna be. And frustration, and I say that, and it's easy to say and hard to do. Frustration really aggravates all of these impairments. Breathe. Anxiety makes everything worse, and we know that deep breathing undoes that anxiety response. Focus on the strengths, and the meaning making that the cognitive empowerment program focuses on so much. Find your current reason why it is that you're what it is, what makes meaning for you and makes your life meaningful today. What is it that you want to contribute? For care partners, some helpful mantras. Remember that all behavior is communication. So there's a reason behind, there is something behind any given behavior. Don't just do something, but stand there, take a beat. When we just do something, quote unquote, it tends to be from an emotional place. When we stand there, we can be a bit more objective. And remember that it's not personal. That's that neurologic change, and the neurologic change that causes that what looks to be self-centeredness are changes in the neurons and in the connections between the neurons in the brain that affect these cognitive domains. I saw that as one of the questions. They affect these cognitive domains. And one of those domains is the ability for empathy. Another of them is the ability for being able to understand what somebody else is experiencing, and that makes it appear like I'm really self-centered, but in fact, I'm not able any longer to imagine what somebody else is experiencing. Expect little, reassure often, apologize easily is another mantra that I frequently hear in the support groups that I have the good fortune to facilitate. On what can I rely? Which domains can I rely on? And what must I supply? And lastly, caring for ourselves is caring for others. So I'll go ahead and stop there. We have about 5 minutes for questions. I don't see any right now, and we lost them when we lost connectivity with Zoom. But any questions today?
It's not a question, but it's a statement. Excellent presentation. Thank you. No questions, but info is helpful. Okay, here is a question. When you said that language can mask other changes, what did you mean by that?
Oh, that's a great question, Ed. Thank you for that. So when somebody has strong verbal abilities, then they can continue to use language in a way that makes us not realize, basically we call it covering, in a way that makes us not realize that some of the other cognitive domains are really taking a hit. And in fact, even the language domain may be taking a hit, but the way in which they present themselves is very cunning, if you will. It's very practiced. the best example, there are two really good examples for this. Way back in the day, my understanding is that even before my time and before we got so far along with um, with being able to diagnose different sources and etiologies, one of our doctors here used to say that one of the most difficult folks to groups of folks to diagnose with dementia were actually some of the socialites who had just remarkable social and really overlearned, if you will, social mores and manners, because they were very talented at presenting themselves. They were extraordinarily good at presenting themselves in a very polished manner. But underneath that, it was difficult to see what was that things were not what they once had been. Michael says he came in late. Did we talk about ADLs and the various stages? There is some information about ADLs in those different stages. However, this talk was really more about cognitive domains and I just threw the staging in there so that folks can kind of think about how cognitive domains are change over the different stages. And yes, there are other webinars that are accessible to watch, and I bet one of my colleagues will put that in the chat. It's also on the flyer that you received. If you received a flyer with information about this particular webinar, the link, the YouTube link, is on there. All right. If there are no more questions, then we'll go ahead and quit for this month. And I really look forward to seeing all of you again next month. Second Wednesday of the month at noon.
Just really want to say, Ashley, thank you so much for the presentation. You always do an excellent job when you present. We always learn something else, and we love all the ways that you put your warmth into the presentation and the care that you have for the caregivers and our patients. And Jenny just put in the chat, she put the link to see the other webinar. So again, thank you everybody for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Great job, Ashley. Thanks so much.